Hello everyone and welcome to this surprise live stream going on today, Saturday, and this is the 2nd of November. We're just going to take a quick peek at a few things tonight. It's already late, but it turns out that this is the night you need to turn your clocks back. So if you're in some parts of the world and you go on daylight savings time, or you come off it, I should say, then it's definitely time to set your clocks back after the episode. So enjoy the episode right now and be my guest. If you're watching this on replay, let me know what your thoughts are. Leave a comment below. I always respond to all comments. You're looking at the first, when I returned, I was away for over 2 weeks, and basically it was because I needed to see my folks, and they were in California, so I was away from the Toronto fish room for some time. But here I am, back looking at what transpired. So first of all, looking at my barbs tank, my male barbs are all looking great, conditioned. Hi Jeff, don't forget to set your clock back tonight after the live stream. And we're looking at how good they look. Sometimes even they did very well. This tank did superb. And I noticed that they were doing well because you can always tell by the black ruby barbs. The males here are showing some color. They've turned really black last night. And so some days they're really looking sharp, showing all their color. You know these are males because they have black fins and the dorsal is very dark. The females do not have that. Yeah, everybody's looking good here in this fish room, and same thing here. Looking down here at our mascara barbs, I don't think we lost anything. I did notice that one of the Plecostomus that's been in here a long time, a very large one, did pass away. I think that it's could be the fact that we were underfeeding them and there just hasn't been any food for the Plecostomus to eat. There is algae in the tank, but it's more of the harder algae, more like green spot algae, and that's very hard on the Plecostomus. They don't usually go for that. I mean, they try probably, but they don't get anywhere. Surprise, surprise! In the back, you see the blind fish. That's our Deconzi. What do you call that? Roseline shark. It's the gold variety that has no eyes, and he's been with us for a few years. He's looking very skinny now. I don't think he's going to make it much longer, even though I've had him for a couple years. Nevertheless, he's lived a good time here as a blind fish in this fish room. Look at all the other mouths that he has to compete against. Just doesn't make sense, does it? Thank you for joining us here at FishEZ. We're going to take a look at some of the things that were surprise when I returned. And that's kind of interesting. What we did was we removed many of the tanks from, well, we didn't remove the tanks. I removed the occupants. These tanks up here had pairs of fish. Theirs was our threadfin rainbows. And these were 2 pairs of the Laecara curviceps, and they didn't get these tanks were taken over to the fish room. I just returned them tonight. I think they need some TLC, still need some TLC, but these are our pistogramma pairs. We'll see what we can do with those. So what I did was I moved those fish from up there down here so that my caretaker, which was my mother-in-law, who knows nothing about fish, could easily access them, and I wrote right on the tank what to feed them. And it wasn't much. I tried to keep it from overfeeding, because if you underfeed your fish, you're likely to get them back after a couple weeks. If you overfeed your fish, you're likely not to see them when you return. And in some cases, I've been gone away, come back and forgot completely a tank that had some fish in it. And it turns out in those tanks, I've never lost a fish. 2 weeks fasting, they did just fine. However, one surprise, it was kind of sad. I put the threadfin rainbows in this tank. I had the mops up and I had a couple things. I had 2 females, I think 3 females maximum, and 1 male. And I've returned the male to his container, but the female that was with him, she got sick and died. I'm very sad to report that there's always losses when somebody goes away. And in this case, there was some losses. Thank you so much. One of our loyal subscribers, members, is Roman. And Roman, he was the one who gave me this male. This came from his tank. I had 3 or 4 beautiful females in here. Uh-oh, here we go. Alexa, fish room on. I have to do that. Alexa, live stream. There we go. Get the lights back on. Now see, this fish was from Roman. The females I had were beautiful and they were in very good condition. I wasn't getting much. I took the mops and the mops were hanging there and I put them in with the other mops and I threw them in here. And so for a few weeks we were taking mops out and putting them in this tank. Looking at the progeny that came out of this particular batch, I'm looking and looking and looking, and all I see are dwarf neon rainbows and luminatus, blue-eyed luminatus. So you see the blue-eyed luminatus, they're the orange looking ones. They're quite reddish with the neon stripe on the back. There's some little ones that are all very obvious. Their blue eyes just really stand out. Hi, Benjamin Peters. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's a late night, and don't forget to set your clocks back 1 hour after this live stream. But it's interesting that it doesn't seem that in this case there's no eggs that hatched, or shall we say none of the fry survived from the threadfin rainbows. Now the threadfin rainbows in comparison to these other ones, they're just not as robust, and so you can't really breed threadfin rainbows by putting them in a tank with other rainbow fish. I just want to mention that because it's been my experience 100% of the time it doesn't work. However, I have some good news. Yes, I lost all my females. We only have the 1 male left, but here's the good news. Are you ready for this? I know everybody's ready for this. Here is the tank that the pair was in. There was a pair left in here. I don't know, I put 2 or 3 females. I never found the bodies of the females that must have died. They didn't make it. But I've just taken out the male, the last one, the last pair I should say, and then I waited, and now look what we have here. Along the surface, you should be able to see them clearly. I'm going to set the phone in a still position so that we can take a good look at the surface. Now, if you look very closely at the surface, hello everybody joining us right now. Don't forget to set your clocks back 1 hour after this session. We are going off daylight savings time for those in the world that are. I don't know, maybe those in Australia don't even know what that is. If we're picking up any Australians this morning, it is Sunday morning, and you may have already done it. You have to let us know if you have that. FishEZ, thank you for joining us. Now I'm going to turn the flashlight on so you can see. See if you can see anything in here. You see those fry going along the top? See if I get a better shot. There we go. See all the fry in this tank? Look in the back, along the surface. You should be able to see them. Do you see them all? I counted over a dozen. Over a dozen. These are all threadfin rainbows, and they're doing well. In the past, when I've bred these fish, I've done the same thing. Give them a 5.5 gallon or 5 gallon tank basically lower the air to just a bare dribble. You see the light, you can just almost count the bubbles as they come up. That's one way to check. And they don't like a lot of surface agitation. They don't like high flow. You don't want that. You want the fry to just be hovering around the surface. So as you can see there, there's quite a few. It's just amazing how many we got out of the 2 weeks that I was gone. All I did was leave them in here 2 weeks, then remove the parents, and then waited another week, and poof, they started appearing, and they keep appearing. There was the first 8. It was just amazing. So what you're looking at are the very small. So what I did was, I haven't fed them yet. It's been a week. Well, I fed them, of course, but what I haven't done is added any food to this tank. If you're wondering, what are they living on? They are living on just paramecia. They're super small when they're born, and this is one of those fry that probably is the reason why they don't survive when you put them with other rainbows. I dumped a half a bottle of my paramecia culture in here, and it got very thick with paramecia for a little while. There were only about 8 little fish, and I just left them alone. I says, they're going to start picking them off. And whoa, that's what happened. It's interesting how that worked out, because it turns out that, sure enough, the paramecia have slowly been dwindling and the fish keep growing. And so it's plenty of food in here. If you look very closely in this tank, it's got this moss, it's got the old mop, it's got all kinds of things growing. I even see detritus worms forming their little casts. Yeah, this thing, if you look along the sides, you see all kinds of little creatures zipping about, wiggle worms going up and down, things I don't even know what they are. This is one of those tanks that's like an experiment from high school, where people just, put in some natural and then see what kind of life grows out of it. But sure enough, there's tons of food in here. And as they grow, I'm sure that they're going to be eating every little thing in there, and then I'll just watch it. So what I'm watching is the water clarity. So I'll keep the paramecia going for even some more time. But as you can see, I just really want these fish to get a good start, and so I'm not touching them. Don't bother them. Let them grow, let them do their thing. And they're doing that quite nicely. So it's been a great success. So although we lost all of our females, we've got a dozen more coming up, and it looks like a nice little group to work with in the future. And that's the good thing. It's just going to take time. So this tank is going on layaway. It'll just sit here until they grow up. I won't mess with them. I won't move them. I won't do any of that. It's most important just to leave them alone. In fact, I don't even think I'll give them a water change. I'll start dripping their water maybe in the future as they get big enough to start providing an issue. But with all these plants, those fry are fine. So they were born basically October 25th. I'm just looking at it, saying that's when I first started seeing fry. The other tanks, I've got a pair of Crevensis here, subacellatus, and then we've got 2 pairs of Curviceps. They've got to be moved back to their tank. I was hoping if they actually happen to breed while I was away, that happens a lot of times, but I don't see any eggs or any evidence of eggs. So no dice. I am very sad to report that there was a casualty in the room, a very big hit, and that was this tank. Yes, most of the Lucipinnis, there's one back there, but most of them, I lost over 12 of them. They were all gone when I got back. Not gone, but dead. And my caretaker did not understand or see what a dead fish looks like, so I don't think she knew. But I forgive her because she took good care of everything else. We have a couple. I don't know if I got a pair. Even in this group, is 3 of them. Seems like only 3 survived. It was a drop. It was a pH crash, obviously, and then the dead fish just contributed worse to that. So, but nobody was here to really take care of them. Well, that is something we have. I have still plenty of a batch that I've raised. It's still growing up, but that would be a 2-year wait for them to mature. Hopefully, I might get some more out of these 3. We'll see. I may just move them to another 20-gallon and clean that one up. Use this shelf for something else. We may do some reorganization here. The community tank is doing superb. The community tank did great. I think it was underfed a little bit, which is good because lots of plants, lots of things to eat. It's just amazing how well. I've never seen checkered barb females so fat. We're going to have to get those guys, gals, shall we say, laying their eggs as soon as possible so they don't get totally egg bound. The small Hexazona barbs are actually doing just great. They're growing, doing very well, and these guys are now sexable, and they're going to be breedable very soon. So they're going to replace their older parents, which have pretty much gotten to the end of their breeding life, I think, basically. Okay. So I'm looking at them, and there is even, I think, I don't see them right now. There is that stray, shall we say, a stray. There's a stray epistogramma that got in here as a baby somehow. It's been growing up in here. It's looking really good. Cardinal tetras. We're going to try to breed the cardinal tetras. We're going to give it a shot anyway. We'll see. And I say that because I'm going to follow some instructions of some experienced cardinal tetra breeder that I know in Welsh, in Wales, and he's Welsh, and I do have mentioned him many times before, but we've been in comunicado. We've been communicating back and forth, and we're going to see. But I don't just see that pistogramma. He was showing himself that, and then sometimes you look up in the foliage, you can see the plants are doing just great. Everybody's doing great. Plants probably really help a lot in this tank. Down below our other tank, we didn't lose much of anything here either. They're doing great. We got our male tetras in the back. We've got rams, black rams. We've got blue rams. We've got our pistogramma panduros, or panduras. Yep, here's one right there. This one is probably going to be a female. You can see the way the pattern on the black splotch is more on the belly, and she's got black ventral fins. That looks like a female. Let's see if I can see a male. This tank should be full of them. Here's one. Here's a male right here. That's going to be a male. You'll notice the ventral fins have no black on them, and the black spot is kind of more of a line. You get a good view of him. There's a male. So these are sexable. So we can start using these as breeders, really. I can probably pull out the females, put them and start conditioning them up, and when they're good and ready, start putting males with them and see if I can get some pairs. The rams also. These are not the nicest blue rams from this batch. They are second string. The nicest ones were already pulled out, and they're heading towards the breeding pens as we speak. But this tank is interesting because there was a lot of algae in this tank, a ton of algae. It was so algae ridden that I didn't know what to do. But for some reason, I put some plecos in here. Great start. And then I put some amano shrimp, another beautiful algae eater. And this tank is just somehow, with all the plants, the stem plants, the algae seems to have dwindled away, and it doesn't seem to be taking over anymore. And the plant, and even with a bare bottom and all these plants, it seems to do very well. So I got to admit, it was kind of a surprise. Now, another surprise of the fish room. Ready for this? You guys are not going to believe it, but I now have more live foods than I had before. Now, as you know, we were working with Daphnia, and this particular bottle is most interesting because it is a tall vase. I keep detritus at the bottom, and this you won't believe it, but I just harvested 2 liters from this bottle, this jar, 2 days ago. Actually, the date was Thursday. 2 days ago, 48 hours ago, I took out, and it's just amazing. It bounces back so quick. Unbelievable. No, you guys are thinking Mark. Mark, I know who you're talking about. He's also one of my favorites, but no, it's not Mark on YouTube. It is, believe it or not, Howie on Facebook. Howie Albie is his first name. Howie, not Howie. It's Albie Howgate. I always get it kind of mixed up. And he's on Facebook. Tremendous fella with tons of experience. Has bred anything and everything. He's like, I would say, he's even better than Dean, the master breeder over in Seattle. By the way, I did go through Seattle coming back from Los Angeles, had to stay over, and I decided not to go to Aquarium Co-op because, well, it was just kind of difficult without a vehicle. I would have had to have taken some public transportation, and I would have just walked into a small little shop, said hello, and left. It didn't seem like there was a lot going on there that I would really be able to take advantage of because I didn't make any prior arrangements. But anyway, getting back to this story, I'm just amazed. I've got this system doing so well that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just harvest from this line down to this line. I take 2 liters out and put fresh water in with green water in. But I'm going to be able to feed these fish. Now I'm going to show you how to do it. But surprise, surprise, this tank in the back, believe it or not, has Daphnia. I'm the proud producer of 1 billion of these little creatures. Now, this is what is so funny because this particular tank, I had put Daphnia in this tank some time ago, a long time ago. They died out. Then they came back in a little bit of a push, and then they died out again. I didn't think I understood how they work, but they do crash very easily. However, I didn't do anything. There was no feeding going on for 2 weeks, and I came back to this. Minus the green water. I added the green water, of course, to give them some food now. And I've harvested 2 or 3 times just in the last week. So easy. So easy. And they're doing so well. They're just like, it's like an endless supply of these tiny little Daphnia. They're much smaller than the Magna, which I have here. You can see the difference in size. See if we can get to that. There we go. Difference in size between the 2 tanks. You see that? So in the Daphnia tank, this Magna, these guys are unbelievable. And so this was actually a tank I was trying to breed, or shall we say, culture blackworms. There are still some blackworms in there. I have no idea. They kind of died out as well. I gave up on the idea. I said, I don't have the right setup. I don't have enough water changes, enough clean water changes to grow blackworms. But who knows? They may bounce back too. I saw one yesterday or earlier today. There's a few blackworms in there, but I'll just leave them in there. So I'm just going to keep, what I'm doing is I'm keeping track of the green water changes. So the 26th, 29th, 31st. So every couple days, in fact, today is 2 days later and it's time to do it. I would take out as many as I can by taking out 2 liters of water, sucking out as much of the Daphnia in the concentrated areas as I can. and then replacing 2 liters of green water. So that way I'm continually reducing the population and continually putting fresh water in at the same time adding food. So that's the key. That's what seems to be working great. And these guys, they're amazing. Oh, okay. Give us, Pepperland Creek is doing cardinals right now. I hope you have success. And my idea of success is that you get more than 2 or 3. I mean, I have bred them. I did breed them once in this little tank back here. And I was able to successfully raise 2. But that to me is not success. I need to see this many. I need to see 100. That would be success. But we'll see about that. So let's take a look at how I do this. My battery is almost gone tonight, but it was just a quick episode for tonight. Thank you for the thumbs up and everybody who's joined us. Really what I want to do is just show you the surprises in the room. And surprise, surprise, what I'm going to do is show you how I simply, yeah, please keep us posted on those cardinals. So here we go. I'm going to try to get over there and see if I can get the phone to be settled. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to, first of all, take out the water, and at the same time, we're going to filter. I use, let's see, I have this filter right here. This is a filter. It is typically used for straining out the baby brine shrimp. So I'm going to use that for the baby brine shrimp. But I'm going to actually filter 2 liters. This is 2 liters. And so this will take us down from point to point. And I can take out 2 liters. I'm going to take this particular device and put it on the top so I can just drain it like that. And I will use my, this is the size I use. It's not my biggest. I don't want the flow to be too much, but at the same time, I don't want it to be too slow, otherwise it takes forever. So I get the right size flow. We're going to pull it down. They're all coming to the light right now. So let's see if we can bring them in. Okay, I'm getting a ton. I try to take out as many as I can. Just down to the mark. Okay. Oh, I went past the mark. That's okay. It's just over 2 liters. Now, it definitely thinned it out, especially when we put the water back. Let's see if we can, I can show you what I took out for tonight. And I'm going to just dump them into this container of water without the green water. I don't want the green water. I don't want to put green water into my tanks. There we go. Let me show you on the, let me get close. This is what we ended up with. This is what we harvest just tonight. This is what I harvest using this one container. I get this much Daphnia every 2 days. I think that's pretty good. So then I use a baster, and I can just go boom. As you can see here, let me show you. I just pop it in. See, and then I got into the tank. So here's my dinner for tonight. And it's funny because I put it in last night, or no, 2 days ago. Put some, maybe I put it in last. I'm not sure when I put it into the Panduro pair, but there's still Daphnia floating around. They've been eating to their satisfaction, and they can't do any more. So let's this discarded water has got no Daphnia in it, but it's got definitely some green water left. So I'm going to put it in one of these. I have some aquariums over here that could use a little feeding. It's just a little Daphnia in there. Now let's take the cereal Daphnia. I'm harvesting this food, so I don't need to worry about contamination. That is important, contamination. In fact, I'm just going to suck it out, another 2 liters. I don't have it marked. That would be a good idea. Let's mark it. So we're going to put the tank at a certain level. I'm going to take out 2 liters, and then we'll mark it again so I know where 2 liters is. So I'm going to try to get as much of this. These guys are a little faster. Yeah, they're fast, but I'm just going to suck out the cereal Daphnia till the 2 liter bottle's full. Okay, so that did it. And I'll mark it again. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see all that way. I'll just say come down to here. There's my mark. And that way I know a 2 liter refill is all I need to do. Let me just take a look at what I was able to harvest. We'll put some water. Removing the green water, we're going to put some water in there. And take the net. It's not really a net, I guess it's a net. And I'm going to put the cereal Daphnia into the water. Rinse it out that way. Now I have them. Let's take a closer look. Now this Daphnia is good for when you need to have smaller, as you can see, much smaller mouthed fish. They go after it crazy, the pistogrammas. So this is good. This would be good Daphnia for even the adult blue-eyed rainbows. In fact, why don't we just feed some of this to the rainbow tank? We have some rainbows over here. That's where the breeders are. I haven't got a mop in there because I was away. I think it's time to put the mop back in. We'll go ahead and I'm going to just, it's like I'm going to dump half of it in here for them. There we go. Yeah. And then I'm going to dump the other half over here. And we'll put it in, I think I want to give it to I'm going to give some to that male up here. The male rainbow, that's the threadfin. Always give them plenty of live food. They have Daphnia already. This pair needs some. We'll put some in there and some in there. And last tiny bit we'll throw in here. So everybody gets cereal Daphnia. Oh, they're gobbling it up. So you can imagine how beneficial it is to give live food like that, especially a crustacean that is giving so much. Really? Simply Better did that? Oh, thank you. I did not know that. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. My paramecia cultures, when I got back, they were doing very well. I've since things started up in the back. You see the red lids. There's four or five, and these are just water in the front that are empty. But I'm waiting another few more days, and I'll set up another culture and I'll be bounced back to where I was before I left. Those things survive the 2 weeks because basically a culture will last almost 4 weeks. So as long as I had some when I left, it was great. Now, Simply Better. I wonder if she got some paramecia from me at one time. I'm not sure. But now we've got our regular Daphnia, the ones that we were looking at. We've got to feed them. they're a little bigger. So what I'll do is probably put them. Let's see what we got here. We got some. Here's the regular Daphnia. There's a bunch right there. We'll go ahead and feed this pair, and this pair. It doesn't take much. You see, there's a lot of Daphnia for a pair of fish. Look at that. Going crazy. Okay. Okay. So then that's what I'll do with these, is just use them for feeding my breeders. I think Daphnia is an excellent food for the female barbs. These are the female barbs. They did okay. They're doing well in here. I'm going to just go ahead and give them a bunch, because honestly, that calcium is super good for them. Putting on eggs and keeping their laying ability strong. I have a few left over, and we have this is where I put the cereal Daphnia, and they're already gobbled it up. This tank did super good, and I see that the white cloud minnows, the gold variety, are actually breeding in this tank, but I don't think that the fry are surviving, only because there's a few other kinds of fish in here as well. They need to be removed. So the green neons need to come out, and that one lone roseline shark needs to come out. But over here we have, believe it or not, my caretaker while I was away did a great job with feeding these fry and the CPD breeders, because I put poquito, and we were feeding them reefroids, very small amount of this very fine powder. So just a tiny pinch, not too much, and they survive quite well. As you can see, there's a group. Now these are big enough. If you look down in here, you'll see, like right here, there's a baby right there, hatchling right there. There's several new fry. They'll get sucked up by that tube right there and come into the breeder box. But what I want to do is tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to take off this breeder box. These are too big. Maybe the smallest ones are going to get eaten by the biggest ones. So it's time to move this on, put it on another tank for continued grow out, and then start a new box with the latest. And here, these guys aren't really, I haven't been feeding it, mostly brine shrimp for these guys, but let's go ahead and dump the final amounts of Daphnia. Well, let's give them to our pairs up here. These guys seem to have a little issue. I'm not sure what happened, but they're clamping their fins. This pair of Panduros and this pair as well. So I'm going to give them some TLC. Let's give them some. Definitely give them some. Oops, I just poured it on the lid. That was no good. I didn't realize the lid was so tight there. Okay. There we go. That one. Now they got some live food. And these guys also. Okay, so you see they go for it like crazy. They love the Daphnia. It's good stuff. I'm going to give these guys some TLC and hope they start bouncing back and breeding again. That's the problem when you disrupt. You go away, you move them. There's a waiting period to get it back on track. At least they're doing semi-well. I'm going to just give them some TLC and get them back. And then this tank is nothing in it, and there's one more tank to come back to fulfill or complete my set of 4 breeder tanks up here in the penthouse. Anyway, back down to reality. It's been 40 minutes, and I hope that everybody enjoyed the program. The only thing we have left to do is to Let's see, we need to get some green water, and this is my green water right here. So the green water is there every 3 days. The time that I'm harvesting the Daphnia, this is reset and grown back to a dark green. And so I'm ready to take some out. I will siphon them out into the 2-liter bottles that I'm just going to use to put back. So let me grab those bottles. And let's see what we can do there with those. And 1, 2, and I'll take a third one. And rinse them out. I was just using them. I want to rinse them before I do this. I don't have to, I guess, because I am going to use this green water in the Daphnia tank, but in case there was a Daphnia that got past the filter, not likely, but now I take this size. I'm not sure what size this is. I don't know, it looks like 3/8. Maybe ½ inch, I'm not sure. Yeah, probably ½ inch. So this is the one I use. So I stick it in the water and then I just filter out the green water. This is the pure green water that we're going to use for the feeding the Daphnia, and using clean water for those tanks. The Daphnia, I think, in the past died out because they weren't getting enough fresh, clean water. That's my theory, and I'm going to stick with it. Okay, so I've got 3 2-liter bottles, and you'll notice that the 4th 2-liter bottle amount of water is still in the tank. So I'm going to leave that in the tank, and I'm going to take plant fertilizer, put in a couple squirts, and then I'm going to take the chlorinated water that's been aerated, and I'm going to refill the tank. Use my pump system. I'm going to fill it back up, and so that's all I do. In this case, the tank doesn't need to be cleaned. I did it last time. If it gets too much other algae, I don't want it competing against my green water. I also learned some interesting things about green water from the professionals, those who really understand and study this particular organism. And one of the things that I wasn't doing enough is giving it enough aeration. Not that it needs aeration, it needs circulation, so that it stays suspended in the water and that it doesn't settle at the bottom. And if green water is allowed to settle without any circulation whatsoever, it will indeed settle at the bottom. And I've observed that too over the years. I've seen it. So I knew that was the case, but I'd never really put 2 and 2 together saying that that was a negative. So that's something. Now I've increased the rate at which I do it. The light will come on tomorrow, give my 8 to 10 hours of light. And now I have 3 2-liter bottles of this beautiful food. This is the green water, and let's go ahead and put it over into the tanks. Let's see if I could. In fact, there's no point in worrying about the detritus. It'll settle down. All I need to do is make sure I get make sure I get the food in there, and there's 1 liter, now there's 2 liter. There we go. Bring it back up to the mark. What I have been doing though for the tank, because it has soil, some plants, and I've got some carpeting plant that I used to have in the tank over yonder. It right now is drying out the tank because I had something in there I wanted to get rid of. But let's see if I can pour it in slow. If you can see that, yeah. Try not to disturb it too much. I don't want to get too wicked there. So we'll just go ahead and feed it. By replacing it with this amount of water every 2 days, I'm giving it a water change. The water that was in with the plants for a couple of days is not had any animals or bugs or anything to add ammonia or nitrates, nitrites, anything. It has, of course, the plant fertilizer in it, but apart from that, this water is what I would consider fresh water compared to the water that's stagnated into the tank. You see, I use that word stagnate, not that it is stagnated water, but that it has certainly been sitting there, and I just want to make it a change. So this is the change they're getting. This tank does have an overflow, so if I fill it up a little more, it'll just drain out. Go back to that line. And there you have it. I have one more left, and I'll go put it in the 20 gallon with the Daphne that's in there, although I don't think that there's that many Daphne. I'm having so much more success growing Daphne in this particular container right here than I am with any of the tanks. Amazing, right? Amazing. So here we go. So I don't know if I'll be using this. This is a phone holder and light. I got this while I was away. It was a very expensive $5 at the local. Got it at the local consignment store. I mean, you know, it was not brand new. It was brand new. Nobody used it, but I found it in the store. So we'll see. It's got this light, LED light. It's supposed to, you know, be one of those lights. I have a camera, so maybe I'll use it for some live streaming. I don't know if I ever use it. It's also got controls. It's kind of neat, off and on, and then it goes. It has this brightness. It also changes colors. See that? It's changing now. It's kind of, I don't know if you can see it, going from white to blue to, you know, kind of flesh tone. Gives you a couple choices in Kelvin. In your, there's like 4100 versus 3500 kelvins of lighting. And then it's got the intensity down. There we go. That's down. And it's got intensity up. It's got a button for that. And that's max right there, I guess. So, but it's a nice light. And it's got this clamp. So you just clamp it somewhere. Now take a look. This is where the stereo Daphne were. Now you could see them quite well when we started this live stream. And now you can't see them. Hardly see them anyway. Maybe you can. But that's how much green. Now I won't harvest again for a couple more days, but that green will be gone. Green will definitely be gone. And here it is again. It's kind of quite dark. Yeah, it's turned dark. You can't hardly see the Daphne. But that means there's lots of food. Lots of really good, healthy food for them. The best kind. I understand if you put in the yeast. I have some of that. I could experiment with that a little bit too to see if it really boosts and causes reproduction rates to go up. It's supposed to. If I put just a little tiny bit, mix it into the water column. But it should. Well, thank you very much. It's getting late. It's time to turn back your clocks. I've already done it myself. So I say it's only here on East Coast. I'm just kind of cheating, saying it's only 10:45. It's probably 11:45 really, until tomorrow at what, 2 a.m. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight for this quick update and looking at some of the surprises of the fish room that usually occur when you come back. There's no question about it. Sometimes you find tanks with fry in it that you didn't know. when there were no fish in it. I've had that happen many a time. It actually did in the last tank right here. You see this one right back here? That one right there? I put in mops. I threw them all in there, that tank, and just put in some paramecia and said, forget about it. Nobody gave it any attention whatsoever. Came back and there's one luminatus baby, quite large. And so I was happy with that. I was able to fish that one out and put it with the others. I would have expected more, actually, if there was some good hatching in that tank, but there wasn't. But nevertheless, that's what happens. So there's still a lot of tanks here that are empty. We'll get some breeding going, get these tanks filled up again. And I really do appreciate everybody joining me on this surprise Saturday night live stream, looking at the tanks and from a surprise point of view after you get back on vacation, and that's what happened with me. And I know if you need some tips and everything, is there any questions that I missed? Anybody? Yeah. Is there anybody? Looks like there's a lot of conversation, and I don't think anybody really needed to know. They just wanted to get updated. Thank you so much, Jeff, for the heads up. And yes, Albie Howgate on Facebook. He's not on YouTube, but you'd be shocked and amazed to see what he posts. He's posting all the time, and he is a master breeder like no other. But you have to understand and appreciate that he's very similar in situation to what Dean